Welcome to the Alpha Pickleball Podcast, where we slice through the noise to bring you the juiciest insights, strategies, and stories from the dynamic world of pickleball. Join us as we serve up engaging conversations with top players, coaches, and enthusiasts, giving you an ace perspective on all things pickleball. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just stepping onto the court, get ready for a volley of knowledge that'll elevate your game to alpha levels. Let the rallies begin.
All right, welcome again to the show. I'm your host, Tats, and today's guest is Aanik Lohani. Excuse me. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Tats. I'm glad to be here, and hopefully we can talk some shop about some pickleball stuff.
Awesome, man. When did you start pickleball?
I started little bit of a funny story, actually. I started back in 2021. I played club tennis at the University of Minnesota, and my friend on the club team at the time, he got me into the sport. We went out to like the local courts, and it was like mid-March, so there's like snow on the courts. But I bought a $10 Target paddle, and we went out to the courts, shoveled off like just enough so you could just see the lines, and we started playing on like the wet ground. And yeah, from there the rest is history. But it was super fun. I got addicted to it really quick, and yeah, it was post-COVID, but I was part of that boom post-COVID. But yeah, 2021, and I've been playing for about 3 years now.
Yeah. I mean, you got hooked. I mean, when did you sort of start doing the competitive stuff? I mean, I think some people started right away. What about you? Like, when did you start going in tournaments and stuff?
Yeah, I'd say with my work schedule, it's definitely a little trickier to get into it right away. Don't get me wrong, I would have signed up for a lot more tournaments if I could have, but yeah, I think it was in 2022. My first tournament was in APP Chicago. It was just a close by tournament. A lot of Minnesota folks go down to that tournament. I thought I would try to be a part of the fun down there. And yeah, I played with another Minnesota guy, and we actually ended up doing really well in doubles. We got fifth, and we made it to the semis. So that was like my first eye-opening experience, and I was like, can I actually do something in this sport? And so now, it took me a little while to get into it, about like a year and a half from when I started in 2021. But yeah, once I started playing pro in September of 2022, just kind of took off from there. And yeah, I've had fun with it ever since.
Yeah, I mean, is there a bunch of people in your area that play competitively at a high level?
Yeah, I'll say this. I think a lot of people listening, they probably know the hubs. Texas. You have Austin in Texas. You have multiple places in Florida. You have LA, San Diego, and Cali, and then Arizona. Minnesota, we're not known for, and I won't say that we're not known for like high level talent, but we have a lot of good depth when it comes to pickleball. I'd say that we have like a lot of higher level guys, and I think we have a good amount of players that like play together up here, and we're all just trying to like break into like that top upper echelon of things. So I'd say like we're pretty up there with like the top 5, top 10 places to play in the country. Maybe not top 3, but we'll hopefully get there one day. Minnesota, keep us on the map for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you do for training? If you don't have that many people that are like fully tournament level, I mean, what does your practice or play look like when you're not playing a tournament?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So during the off time, I really try to make the most of when I do play with people. So there's another guy that I train with, Alhuni, and he's a really, really, really good singles player, as well with his brother too. And we all play together like about once a week. And then we also have a doubles group that we kind of play together too. But outside of those two kind of more focused pickleball sessions that are a little higher level, I try to just keep at it in the gym, try to work on strength work. And then recently I've got into actually swimming and working on my breath work. So that's been, I think, super helpful just in these tournaments where the non-progressive draws where you play sometimes like 4 or 5 singles matches or doubles matches in one day. And that on the body, but on the stamina, I feel like that this more recent activity of swimming that I've gotten into has definitely helped a ton for me.
Okay. What do you focus on swimming? You said breathing. So is there certain activities or sort of sets of something you do that's helping you?
Yeah, I always like to have fun with it too. So I'll say there's a focus side of swimming with my workouts when I do work out. When I'm going for endurance training, I'll just go lap swim, or if I'm going for like a high intensity interval training, I'll go more on the sprint side when it comes to swimming. But I also like to keep it fun, lighthearted. I work out at Lifetime, and sometimes when the pool is like kind of empty, my fiance, we go there and we just kind of work on like different things in the pool. So we'll like throw items down in the deep end of the pool and having to grab multiple things, just trying to make it into a little bit of a game. And it just helps, you don't even focus on the breath work piece of it. So it's kind of like the non focused items of the breath work, but it's still getting after what I want to accomplish.
Yeah, yeah. I noticed on one of your profiles you partnered or you're aligned with some sort of stretching organization, or is it Stretch Labs or something? I don't know.
Yeah, stretch labs is a big part of what I do too. For my off days, the recovery piece is very instrumental. I feel like whenever I can, after those pickleball sessions, after a hard workout, or even after a tournament, or even when I'm getting ready for a tournament, like I'm going out to Atlanta tomorrow, I have a kind of a warm up recovery, or sorry, a warm up session that I'm going to today to Stretch Lab. So I'm just they're going to help me, just kind of get my muscles a little bit looser so that they can activate a lot quicker, when I play tomorrow. So Stretch Labs has been super helpful in getting me, where I want to be from a muscle recovery standpoint.
Yeah, and just to be clear, it sounds like the day before, right, is when you start
Yeah.
thinking about the warm up, not like 10 minutes before doing a few stretches. It's the day before. And what does that routine kind of look like right now for you?
Well, I think for me, I've given a lot more focus in 2024 in in my preparation for a tournament. I always try to strive to go, physical health, and then also part of that is just you know uh, getting a lot of liquids leading up to the days of the tournament. So not only am I focusing on my muscles and getting my muscles ready, but if I focus on, drinking a lot of water, getting a lot of liquid IV in my body, at least like 2 to 3 days before a tournament, when I go to the tournament, because there's a lot of activities that just dehydrate you at tournaments, whether it's just flying or when you're at the tournament, you're just not thinking about hydrating. It's going to proactively set you up to do better, and then hopefully at the tournament you can get some sort of liquids when you're actually playing and before as well. So yeah, a lot of my preparation has come down to just liquid and focusing a little bit more on my diet 2 or 3 days before tournaments.
For sure. I know that, these days with all the videos and you see the pros, there's a lot more emphasis on the two-hander, which I saw, you coach Chris from Pickleball Studios on. So I'm assuming, after that video aired, a lot more people are coming to you about the two-hander. What are you telling people?
Yeah, I'd say it's it's definitely grown my brand as a person that likes to hit the tui. A lot of people that when I play with them they're always coming up to me afterwards, and they're asking me like specific nuances about how to hit the shot. I will say for a lot of different people, it just is going to vary based off of, you know, your own shot mechanics. But as a general rule of thumb, it's what I try to tell them is like just try to tell them get a little bit lower than you actually think you're getting, because a lot of people like to stand up and try to swing through the ball, and you're just not going to be able to generate as much power and force behind that ball and not be as accurate. And then the second part of it is just keep a consistent, smooth swing from, back to front with maybe a little bit of angle up over that ball. And if you keep those two things in mind, I think, yes, I think the two-handed backhand is a little bit more of a difficult shot to learn and to master, if you want to get it at a high level and consistently. But I think it's a shot that everyone, is capable of learning. As you saw even with Chris Olsen, tough project to work on, I will say, but somehow he got through it, and I think his Tui got a lot better. So
Sure. I mean,
yeah,
I guess
now I'm kind of scared. I'm kind of scared myself to play against him. So
for sure. Now you mentioned like, their mechanics and stuff like that. I guess, has to do with maybe mobility, flexibility, maybe what
Yep.
state it looks like now. Is that what you're thinking in terms of what you would suggest? Because maybe not everyone can blast it from the baseline, but maybe they could just roll it out of the air or speed up on it or something. Is that what you're thinking in terms of what people are capable of the shot?
Oh yeah, for sure. With everyone's different skill levels and abilities to move, whenever I give my own lessons to my clients at Lifetime, I work with them on their own, skill set. So whether they can, bend at, all the way down, getting their back knee on the court surface, or if they can kind of just bend a little bit, I work with them on just trying to work within their realm of possibility. So, like you said, I think that's a really good fallout, because if you can, get lower, yes, you can have that more driving force. But if you can't, and maybe if you can't extend all the way, maybe you do look to then roll that ball in, because it's still an effective shot. Yes, you might give up some power, but then that rolling effect kind of throws a little wrench into the situation on the other team's side, and they might be expecting power and then the ball might be coming a lot lower than they actually are, expecting that ball to come, giving your team a pop up to then put away. So yeah, that TUI is definitely nuanced in its different forms, and can be utilized by many different players in many different kind of game styles, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, for sure. I saw you in an interview saying something around, I think it was a semi or something that you were a part of. I think it was singles though. Something about blacking
Yeah.
out in Imagine. It got me really curious. I mean, when you were competing in other sports, did you on big games, did you have that moment, or was that moment just kind of with the crowd and the attention that kind of took that to a new level?
I've definitely had that feeling before. I think it's a lot different when you're experiencing it for the first time. Being on Championship Sunday, playing against the number one person in the world, having the crowd there, having everyone, all the eyes on you. It's definitely a very intimidating, or can be a very intimidating experience. But when I was playing to get to Championship Sunday, I always strive to just play in the moment. I'm gonna never try to let any pickleball moment get too big, and never let it get bigger than myself. Because I at the end of the day, I always try to think that you know that I always have to think that I have confidence in myself, and that I belong on the court, that I can, beat any of those other top pros out there. So, yeah, I might have blacked out, but I guess in other terms, I'm just kind of living in the moment and not thinking about anything else. So I'm just kind of like focused on the next point, and I didn't even maybe realize that there was that crowd there. So,
Yeah.
or I
So,
tried not
I
to.
mean, so in terms of your sort of match strategy? I mean, are you coming in with a very specific strategy, or just saying, hey, I prepared, I'm going to let go and I'm just going to pay attention and be in the moment? Like, how much of this strategic before match stuff is happening? How much of it is I prepared and I'm just going to be present?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think for me personally, being on the tour for about 4 or 5 months now, I know pretty much everyone's game styles. Do I know everyone's strengths and weaknesses? No, but I can kind of extrapolate, for a certain person, how to go about playing that specific person. But when it comes to playing different people, I have the thought process behind me that if I play my game and if I'm playing well, there are very few people that can beat me at my own game. So if I can play my game, and I guess not even well, if I can just play it to a good enough consistent level, I should be able to beat anybody out there. And if they have a specific day that they play amazingly well, outside of the usual uh, play level that I'm used to seeing them play at, I feel like then props to them, and then they just were the better person that day. But I think I have a lot of confidence in myself against anyone out there that I should be able to beat them if I play my game style. And if I lose, I'm going to go down losing my own way of playing.
Sure, absolutely. How do you describe your game style? Like, what are the components? How would you sort of simplify that description to someone else?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think the what initially comes to mind for me is I'm a hustler on the court. I think hustle and precision, I think, are the two aspects of my game that really propel me through a lot of different matches and a lot of different game styles on the other side of the court. A lot of people play with power, a lot of people play soft games, a lot of people like the cat and mouse. I think for me, I make you play one extra ball, and I'm always trying to, maybe not perfectly place my balls, but exactly, find that most accurate shot placement to set myself up for that next ball, whether it's power related or whether it's spin related. So I think hustle, and the fact that I'm precise on the court is what gets me through a lot of matches.
Got it. For doubles, what sort of partnerships do you find, or playing styles you find that works well with your game?
Yeah, I think for me personally, I like the partnerships that like to play a little bit more aggressive, like to play a little bit more fast paced, beat up drives, not getting away from the dinking too much, but more uh, effective dinking with maybe a couple harder placed dinks at the kitchen line when we actually get there, looking for a ball that you can maybe flick and then win in a hands battle, or maybe counter or something like that. So I think I like to play that little bit more faster game style that a lot of pros, I think, are kind of shying away from. They like to play that more slower pace, at the kitchen line, everyone getting there, which, I try to tailor my game style to at least accommodate for 35% or 40% of my game style to that. But I like to play faster, and I like to take it to my opponents. And that's why I would say that, around 55 to 60, 65% of my game style is probably centered around that faster pace
Yeah,
for
for
doubles.
sure. And I mean, right now you said you're trying to balance it all. How do you think it's going to progress? I mean, you're going to take it to the next level. Do you enjoy your job? Like, what are the things that are sort of floating around your mind on juggling it, or specialization?
Yeah, I think right now, um, it's a little odd for me because I am an organizer, and I like to stay organized about my future. But for now, I'm kind of in this limbo kind of period where I'm, trying to figure out for pickleball how much it's going to grow so that I can see how much time and effort I want to put into that side of my career, I guess, if you want to call it. And then from the U.S. bank side of things, I'm also trying to navigate the waters of, moving up in the corporate world and seeing, what kind of flexibility comes with those additional, responsibilities from a new job. So, right now I'm kind of just living and just enjoying what I have, which I guess I don't do enough of, I think, sometimes in my life. But yeah, I'm just trying to feel out both avenues, and I'm definitely giving a little bit more time to the corporate side of things. But if pickleball starts to grow, I definitely might even that out more and more.
Sure, sure. And I think your role's in the data side of things, right?
Yeah, data analytics.
Got it. So being a data analytics pro, looking at pickleball, what sort of data do because there's more and more of that data available on different sites in
Yeah.
different ways. What are the pieces of data that you find interesting about sort of match analytics?
Yeah, good question. So I won't say I'm like a Colin Johns-esque match analyzer, pre and post match analyzer. I definitely don't have a notebook for all of the pros and their stats and everything. But what I will say is, I think what really helps me from a data perspective is I do like to look at the different patterns that go on the court. When I'm playing, it's in real time, so it's something a lot different than I'm doing at my job. Because I'm creating different data visualizations at my job for data analytics, but there's a lot of lag time. But on the court, you have to be able to look at stuff in real time and start to analyze that as the point is being constructed. So I think that piece of the data analyst in me definitely comes out on the court and definitely helps me a ton. And then for post-match stuff, I always like to, if it's kept, PB Vision also does a really good job of this too when they track match stats. I love to check out the different cause and effect relationships when it comes to match stats. So not only just looking at how many times a person sped up the ball, but how many times did they speed it up, and then did they win or lose the point off of that hands battle, or how many times did a reset occur off of that speed up. So stuff like that, I think, and then who sped it up to win the majority of the points for a specific team. So I think that cause and effect relationship, that's where the data analyst in me really comes out and looking at those statistics about matches.
Very cool. Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks for sharing. Is there anything else that I did not ask but you wanted to share?
Nothing specifically. I will say a lot of the credit that I will have to or that I will give is due to the agency that I work with, Peak Pickleball Agency, specifically Shane Dunn. He's been super, super helpful for me. He's always been on my side of the court, gotten a lot of traction within the PPA, helped me out with Yola, K-Swift, Lifetime. So yeah, I definitely couldn't have done a lot of this stuff, if any of this stuff, without his presence off the court. So owe him a little shout out there.
Perfect. Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Tats.
Thanks for tuning in to the Alpha Pickleball Podcast with Tats. If you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe, rate, and connect with us on social media. Stay alpha on the pickleball court. Until our next session.